It is season 5.
High five.
Oh, man.
Season 5.
When
episode
6, are we going to go high 6?
Yes.
Maybe. We are just that corny.
Well, our last podcast got over 200 views, which is...
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we got a
Awesome.
bunch of people subscribed, so it was really great.
That's
Like
good.
to
It's
see that.
encouraging. So,
good.
you need to tell us stuff you want us to talk about on Coffee with the K's. We have coffee.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we're the K's.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know.
Here we go.
Hey, I can't clink. Mine doesn't clink.
It clinks. You just got to clink
I
the
have
top.
the snuggly cup.
I did. I gave you the one with the sweater.
So what kind of coffee is this, Josh?
This is the Grounds and Hounds Peppermint Mocha.
It's good stuff.
Yes,
It's really
Grounds
good.
and Hounds.
Yeah.
One of my favorite coffee companies. It's from Joliet, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So when you order it, it comes pretty quick because it's coming from that's near outside
for
of
us, yeah.
outside of Nashville, and they really do have good coffee. And I love I was waiting all year for the peppermint mocha, and I bought several.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, okay. So that's why I have a bag.
That's why you
That's
have a
it.
bag,
Okay.
and I have a
Gotcha.
bag. But they really have good coffee. And then 10% of the proceeds go to help dog animal shelters,
Good.
specifically
Good
to
cause.
help dogs. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
always a good thing.
And you really taste peppermint, and you really taste mocha.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you really taste coffee.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's not
It is
sweet.
very good. No,
it's
it's
not
not
like
sweet.
super sweet. Like if you
No.
went to Starbucks and ordered a peppermint mocha latte, it would be full of sugar and everything. And
Yeah.
this isn't. There's no sugar in this. But it's just got the essence.
It's very
So-
good because it still
Yeah.
tastes like coffee, like you
Yeah,
said.
it's really good.
It's delicious. I think last year they had a like a peppermint cream one that was not as mocha-y. It was
Well,
still good.
Boyer's was the one with the peppermint cream.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that was different.
I stand corrected.
You should.
I sit.
Well, and
corrected.
that was good, but that's all it was. It was basically coffee with peppermint in it.
Yeah, well, this is delicious. It's very nice.
Well, let's light the fire.
Okay.
Uh-oh, which one?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have-
It's a lot of them.
we have
Yeah.
like
I know.
multiple things here
Well,
today.
Modern Drummer did
Oh
a
yes,
poll
I have my notes.
of the top 10 best drummers ever.
Modern Drummer did this?
No, this was
What was-
Rolling Stones.
Was it Rolling Stone?
Yes.
Rolling
Okay.
Stone.
This is
Okay.
Rolling Stone magazine.
That-
You
'cause
company standing corrected.
Well, hey,
there
but
you
that makes a difference. That makes a difference because it's one
Yes.
thing for Modern Drummer to say these are your top 10. It's a different thing for Rolling Stone, which not only covers music but is doing movie and games and all this.
Yeah,
stuff,
this
right?
came
it's
out
entertainment. The entertainment industry.
December 22nd, 2023. So we were going to talk about it over like a Christmas podcast, which
Yes.
didn't happen, which became this New Year's podcast.
New Year's
Happy
podcast.
New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
There you go.
Yes, so
Yes.
Rolling Stone's
All right.
top 10 drummers.
Okay.
Yes.
So, the people who did this, the people participating in the poll, are not what I would say
Educated drummers.
very educated.
All right,
about
so you're
drum-
already
Yes.
you're already setting it up.
So we might have to bleep a few things
Well,
out here today. Like,
okay.
just no.
Because the first thing, they didn't include Buddy Rich.
In
I
the
don't-
top 10?
Yeah,
the top
I'm not
10.
sure I've ever seen a poll of the
Huh.
10 best that didn't include Buddy Rich. They put Gene Krupa in there.
Yes, Gene Krupa.
Well, he did
yes.
come first, so
Yeah, but Buddy Rich and him, they were tight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
they
Buddy
kinda
Rich
neck
just
and
took
neck.
over,
Yeah.
I've heard the Buddy Rich hate. I have the people that like he's overhyped. That like he's an overrated drummer.
Oh,
he was
come
just
on, man.
he was just fast. That's all. He was so fast nobody could catch
And he
him.
was an excellent musician.
Oh, absolutely.
People didn't like his personality, I
No.
guess.
All right. So
No, he
fun
was- yeah.
story.
Okay, here we go.
Do you know the scene in my favorite Seinfeld episode, where he's the opposite George?
Opposite
Yes.
George.
Summer of
Oh,
George.
yeah.
Yeah.
He decides that every decision he's ever made in his entire life has been wrong, so he's going to do the opposite of everything he thinks, and then that's when like all this amazing
Everything
stuff happens.
happens,
Right.
yes.
All right. So if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it. It's the best. It's my
Yeah, it's funny.
absolute favorite. There's a scene in that episode where they're in the movie theater and the guys behind them are like cutting up and
Yeah.
kicking the seats and stuff like that. And he stands up and like reams them out in front of
Yeah.
everybody, right? And he's like, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to show you what it's like.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, so according to George Alexander, who is a Boston U alumni, by the way.
Huh?
He got inspired for that scene.
George Alexander?
Or no.
Jason
Alexander. I'm saying he played George.
Yes.
Jason
There
Alexander.
you go.
Yes. He got inspired by listening to the Buddy Rich bus tapes where he's rimming his band out. Playing so bad. He said he listened to that. And that's what he got inspired to do the rant as George from listening to Buddy Rich.
Yeah, he was a tough nut. I mean,
Well, and he was kind of arrogant, but a lot of musicians are arrogant. It's not just, I mean...
he was
it's
setting
kind of-
records at 12 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, in the world of music. I mean,
Yeah.
and his parents were involved in music. He was raised in a musical home, and
Right.
all those great things that contributed to his upbringing.
Absolutely.
Now, who put the drums on a platform? Was that
was Gene
Krupa?
Krupa.
Okay, because I think I remember that.
Is that he was playing with Dorsey, right? Or no, it was Benny Goodman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing with Benny Goodman, and he gave the drummer some.
There you go.
They came to see the drummer,
Yes.
and they couldn't see him
They
over the
couldn't see
orchestra,
him.
so
That's
they
right.
raised him up.
Give him
Right.
the platform.
And it lives today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely
Absolutely.
stuck.
Yeah.
So that's one controversial thing about the list, which is always
It's funny because you didn't
interesting.
even read the list. And
No.
We're already starting now. You need to just read the list because we're
Okay,
sitting
here's
here
the
talking
list.
about it.
Okay,
Start
number
at 10.
10, Stuart Copeland.
Yes, he's an excellent drummer.
I don't know who he is.
He played with the Police and
Oh,
yes.
yeah, okay.
No, I-
Rosanna. He's
Yeah.
Toto.
Okay.
Took me a second.
Yeah.
He is a good drummer. Very
He's an
solid.
awesome drummer.
Very solid, good strong pocket, lots of hits.
Yes.
Right?
Al Jackson Jr.
Yeah, you're the
Al
Crickets.
Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we
And-
know who he played with?
No,
You wrote it down.
no.
You didn't write anything about him?
No, I didn't, because it was a video on YouTube or Instagram, and I could play the video.
No,
and
don't
I
play the
just-
video. Don't play
I said to Dad, I'm just going to write the names
Booker
down.
T and MGs. Worked for Stax Records. Okay, so he was
Okay.
kind of like Pistal. Because he
Yeah.
worked for Stax Records, so he was on all of
A lot
those
of
soul
things.
hits
Yeah,
and
Pistol
stuff.
wasn't on that list.
Pistol's
either.
not on the list.
That's a
That's a
That's
disservice, but
Absolutely.
Okay, so number 8, Mitch Mitchell.
Oh yeah.
Mitch
Yeah.
Mitchell was a machine.
I don't know who that is.
He's not
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix drummer.
Oh, okay, well,
You know Jimi Hendrix.
yeah.
So here's the thing. I was talking to a student about this because I made the comment. I didn't think that Jimi Hendrix songs would have been as good if he didn't have Mitch Mitchell. As the drummer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then he was like, "What? Really?" I said, "Yeah, go and
Try and play one of those songs.
Right. Well,
He's
because
like busy all the time.
He is all over the place, and that was the thing is like when you go and listen to Jimi Hendrix music, everybody's listening to Jimi Hendrix, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But that's where if you really like, and you can go to YouTube and see there's the drum isolated videos and stuff,
Yeah.
where they like pull out the drums so you can really just hear. Just listen to Fire, and just like imagine if those drums weren't happening.
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same
It
at
would
all.
be nothing. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
and he would put space, like as good as Jimi Hendrix was, he gave space for the drums and for the.
I think he succeeded as a drummer in that he helped the music.
absolutely.
He didn't help himself. He
Oh,
helped
yeah.
The
Yeah.
music.
He,
that's it.
that's why some people don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and see that
fabulous
is
drummer.
that is the knock that some people have on Buddy Rich, saying that he's overrated because he was all show and it was all about him.
He
Buddy
wasn't
Rich.
all show. There was,
Yeah.
watch the Buddy Rich tribute.
Burning for
videos.
Buddy, right?
Yeah.
You have Neil Peart and all these great
Yeah.
drummers trying to play Buddy Rich, and they're going like, man, this is some stuff here.
Yeah. That's it.
He had skills.
He had
Okay,
mad skills.
So what number was Mitch Mitchell?
8.
Yeah, that's probably I would agree with that. That's fair.
7, Gene Krupa. We've already discussed Gene Krupa.
He belongs on the list.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
yes he does.
100%. Because
Yeah.
he brought drumming in it as a
He brought swing drumming.
yes,
out of the dark.
And I
Yeah.
feel like it was the idea before Gene Krupa of jazz drummers. It was the one microphone, right,
Yeah, yeah.
that everybody gathered around. And the drums were usually somewhere in the back, so it was getting buried in the
Not much
in the
has
mix.
changed as far as that goes.
Well,
Like you go to the college level performances, and they're like, they put the drummer behind
Oh,
the piano
absolutely.
player.
I know. I know I have to tell my students that are playing in bands and stuff, I'm like, all right, when you hit the drum and you are right next to it, you think it sounds loud because you're right next to it. You have to realize you got all those bodies you got to get
And
through.
don't listen to the trumpet players in front
Absolutely.
of you.
That's exactly what I tell them. The trumpet player's going to always tell you you're too loud. Yeah.
I think those guys just have problems, like with noise. They don't consider what they do being loud.
Jokes
Like
about
at this Scambia all-county thing that we went to, and you were playing the drums, and they put the other guy behind the piano. You couldn't even hear him.
Right.
He was a good drummer,
Absolutely.
but he was buried. And,
Yeah.
and then you were like, yeah, it ain't going to work for me, man. You know, you got to put me out front.
I know, and it was funny because I did put myself out front, and
Well,
nobody
and
said anything.
Well,
you know,
no,
it's like,
because people did say stuff. They were like, the drums are
well,
just too loud.
yeah. Let me put it
They're
this way:
too
the
loud.
director didn't say anything.
No, and then
So,
Josh
yeah.
asked me, and I said, no, the drums are not too loud.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, that's because that's your son on the drums. I'm like, well, no, because I'm trying to have a balanced view. I don't think the drums are the demon of the band.
Well,
you know?
a lot of times people don't understand that's the power
Yes.
of the music.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is the drummer.
Yeah.
That's the locomotive.
Right.
And, we don't want to hear that.
Well, going back to the Buddy Rich Gene Krupa thing. So Gene Krupa kind of made the drums. I felt like he got it recognized as a legitimate part of the band, not just the background thing.
Oh yeah,
And so,
what
kind of
yeah.
bringing that into the spotlight, I think, inspired generations of drummers
Absolutely.
that maybe wouldn't have been drummers.
Because now it was cool,
Right.
And
it's not just it was cool; it exists. Like
exists.
that's
There
what I'm
you
saying.
go.
Like
There you
because
go.
they were playing before, and it was snare drum and the bass drum player and
Yep.
the second line in New Orleans and stuff.
Right.
And the whole idea of the trap drum set was a relatively new concept.
Yeah.
And so he took that and made it like, no, I'm a legit part of this
Oh,
band.
and he didn't just play the snare drum, he played the toms.
Yes.
Sing,
Yeah.
sing, sing.
Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't take the toms out of that.
100%.
And if you did, it would destroy the song completely, and it would be crap. People would be like,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
with
I
the
guess that was
toms,
all
right.
right.
that
Absolutely.
song, yeah.
No, and so that's why you say, like, you look at, you remember Chick Webb, drummer,
Yes.
Chick Webb. So
Webb.
yeah. So he had, that was before the trap drum set, right? And then it was like, so that's kind of how I look at it, is it was Chick Webb and then it was Gene Krupa, because we had the trap drum set and Gene Krupa is what made that.
Put it all together.
Yes, and made that possible. So then, the drums now are being recognized as a legitimate part of the orchestra, right? And then Buddy Rich comes along, and I felt like he just took that and
To the next
elevated
level.
it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's where, like I said, I've heard people knock on Buddy Rich as like, oh, he was just all about show and it was just about playing fast and blah blah blah. But
No, we don't want to see a show when we go listen to
well, I
the
know,
musicians.
right? Yeah. That's it.
Well,
We don't want it to be
Why
entertaining.
put him up there
Yeah.
if it's not going to be? Yeah.
But I played a Caravan for a student just last week. And I used Caravan as an example to him of how you use dynamics when you're playing with a band and with a jazz band, a big band, because there's times in Caravan where he's keeping a beat. It's fast and syncopated, but it's way
soft.
subdued.
Dynamics.
That's
Yeah.
it. So and then he builds it and builds it,
Yeah.
and then it leads up to the drum solo at the end. And it was great. It was an excellent show of musicianship
Yes.
for a drummer.
Okay, number 6, Clyde Stubblefield.
Yeah, our buddy Clyde.
I almost feel like he should be higher on that list, just given how even after he's died, his music is
samplings.
still being used.
Yes,
and he's
yes.
still the funky drummer.
He's still the funky
All
drummer.
these years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the funky drummer?
Yeah.
Clyde.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it really is enjoyable to watch clips of James Brown with Clyde and just how
Yeah.
he kept, he gave him so much credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
that was the Give the Drummer some. That
Yes,
was
there you
the
go.
joke I made earlier.
And on the clip, on that Instagram clip, he says that,
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. And
Clyde
okay.
Stubblefield still to this day is the most sampled drummer
Yes.
ever.
Out of everybody.
Out of everyone. You even, Drake is using his samples and
Michael
stuff.
Jackson.
That's
Yeah.
Go
so
on.
people. That's why I'm saying, like, I think he should be higher on the list just because of that, just because of lasting influence.
Let alone the Funk Brothers.
Oh, yeah,
he was
yeah.
a major part of that and helping them. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, with him and Jabo, what they were able to accomplish. So
But they were different. I mean, Jabo and Clyde, I felt like were different drummers.
What Jabo was more jazzy.
Yes. Yeah.
Clyde was more funky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The
I remember
accents.
asking Clyde, because, I'm a teacher, man, I teach people how to play the drums. How would you teach me how to do what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, you just do it, man.
You just go, do.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, I get it now.
I was like, well,
that was it.
that don't convey, man.
Right.
I mean, if I could see that somehow written out or demonstrated or
thought that
something,
was nice.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was
It's
funny.
pretty funny. Yeah.
Okay, number 5, Hal Blaine.
Yeah, Hal Blaine was good.
Well,
I don't think he should be that high
He
on
was
the list.
Elvis's drummer.
Oh, okay.
And so and I didn't know that, so I had to look it up. But
Yeah.
it again made a difference in Elvis's songs. If he hadn't had him as a drummer,
Yeah.
the songs would have been different.
Yeah.
So I think that's like you guys were just talking about that, and that struck me with him. He looked kind of like my dad sitting behind the
So
drum set.
he played for Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, the Beach Boys, Simon and Garfunkel, the Carpenters, Neil Diamond, and the Byrds. He's considered to be the most recorded studio drummer in history. He claims that he had over 35,000 sessions and 6,000 singles.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
The
playing.
man was working.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then next, number four is Neil Peart.
Peart. Yes.
That's
So
how they said
okay,
it.
I heard you say Neil Peart the other day.
And
I've
just
been
now
calling
you
him Neil
said-
Peart my entire life.
And you've been wrong.
Okay.
Because
What?
I've heard him say it's like ear.
Okay.
It's spelled the same way. It's
Yes.
Peart.
And they
Okay.
say it that
And
way
it's
on
just,
the video.
It's just that people got lazy
Okay.
and called him Peart.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Okay.
just don't call me late for dinner.
So he's up there, and you would agree that he should be up
He's
there.
phenomenal.
So
He
for
was
the
phenomenal.
non-drummers out there, what is he most known for?
Rush.
There you go. So see,
Well,
that
but
was-
see, then we talked about the burning for Buddy thing, and that was his whole. He was the whole part of that.
Yeah, he was
series,
part of it.
Putting that all together.
What they did was they took Buddy's orchestra and they replaced the drummer with top drummers.
Mm-hmm.
So you got, Neil Peart and all these other, Weckel and all these other people
Yeah.
to play the drums doing Buddy Rich's songs, which
Yeah.
was pretty big
Cool.
challenge.
Awesome.
But
Yeah.
they did a wonderful job.
Well, and then it gave. I felt like it gave some rise to other drummers that were maybe doing well and were successful, but were not necessarily common names, like Marvin Smitty Smith. I'd never
Oh,
heard
yeah.
of him.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Until
Until watching him play and watching him smoke. What's his name from Journey?
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, and
Because
Steve.
it was his attitude.
Yeah.
In his head, he was a monster.
Yeah.
He was like, let me at him. Drum battle? Let's do it.
That was it.
Yeah,
That was
I don't
it.
know if there ain't many people that approach a drum battle like
No.
that.
He was serious. He was
Yes.
playing for keeps. Yeah. What I liked about that, Steve Smith would play, and then he would watch him, and then Marvin Smitty Smith would do the exact same thing,
And
but
then
like
up
3
it
times
one.
faster. Yeah, that's it.
Well, now we're gonna have to watch that. Okay,
Yeah.
so number 3, Ginger Baker.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
so
This is a hemorrhoid.
okay. Now here's the thing. It is hard for me.
I heard a guy. I read it. There would be no Eric Clapton without Ginger.
That's
Baker.
not true
Oh,
at all.
what a
That is not
stupid
true
thing to
at all.
say.
Here's the thing, though. You got to look at his drumming. For me personally, I don't like him as a person.
Yeah,
He
he was
so-
a little obnoxious.
Oh man, and he believed that he was the best drummer that ever lived,
Just ask him.
and he told people, yes, nobody was better than him.
Yeah, he didn't get the recognition he deserved.
Exactly. And I
That was
So that
probably
was- that
his
was a
mother
problem.
that put that in the poll.
Probably.
yeah, right, yeah.
All right.
So no, he was good.
Who did
he
he
was
play with?
solid. Cream, Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Didn't he play Derek and the Dominoes? Wasn't he part of that crew
Yeah.
too? Yeah. So that was the thing. So Cream.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm knocking a guy who's a successful drummer with
Yeah, really.
famous artists.
Well, yeah, but to say number 3 on the
Yeah.
all-time list,
No.
I can't. I can't go there.
And Buddy Rich is not on the list.
Anybody
Yeah.
else, they put
So
him above.
just
Buddy
coming
Rich.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2, Keith Moon.
All right, now Keith Moon is another animal. I mean, he was constantly moving.
Yeah.
He couldn't play regular rhythms.
Well, he's kind of fun to watch.
Oh,
I don't
he's
know,
very
and
entertaining.
I'm not a drummer, but just watching him.
Well, if you ever watch
he looks like he's having so much fun.
If you watch his face and his eyes when he's playing, he goes into another world.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. I mean, because he's like...
Yeah.
And you can almost see him thinking, "Oh, this is going to be so cool,"
yeah,
and then he does something else, and then he gets inspired. I don't know. He's very fun to watch.
When he's not driving cars into swimming
I know,
pools.
right? Oh my gosh, yeah,
that was
turn
a
it
long
up on the
time
drum
ago.
that's
set.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, he was one that definitely again elevated the status of the drummer in the rock band, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at what Gene Krupa did for drummers in the jazz swing era, he did in the rock and roll era, right?
Yeah.
And
He deserves to be on the list for real.
absolutely.
Okay, so number 1 is a no-brainer.
John Bonham.
They put him as number
Yes.
one.
Now,
Well,
how could you not?
Yeah.
Are you,
They would have
we
like,
gonna
okay,
debate
let me
this
see
a
that
little
thing.
bit
Where's
here?
my lighter? Forget this stuff,
Yeah. It's I've had this conversation with people comparing Keith Moon and John Bonham and like
There's
which
no
one was
comparison.
better and stuff. And I think if you want to, even if you want to look at just range of what he was able to play,
Different styles
styles.
incorporated into his music.
100%, because it wasn't just rock, right, all the time. I mean,
I would have put Purdie on that list too. Bernard
Oh,
Purdie.
yeah.
well, because he influenced like all these.
Well, he influenced
too.
John Bonham.
I was just gonna say that
Fool in the Rain's got the
Rain
Purdie
is the
Shuffle.
Purdie Shuffle,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a list that's limited like this, and it's very subjective.
Yeah,
and,
there's only 10.
And again, it's not modern drummer. Like it's like we were talking the other day. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, probably not. But we were talking about Luciano Pavarotti and
Bocelli?
Placido Domingo.
Oh yeah.
So and my dad and I would debate this for hours because they're two of the greatest tenors of the world, and yet you have your opinion. You have what you feel like sounds best.
Yeah.
I'm not a Pavarotti camp girl. I like Placido Domingo better. I know, but you do have your opinion comes in, and so that's what happens, I think, with a list like this.
So who else belongs on there? We talked about
Purdie.
and I really feel like it's a
Max Roach, Joe Jones.
Oh yeah.
I could go on.
Well, I think it's a disservice to leave any of the Funk Brothers off of there, like Pistal, Euro Jones, Papazita.
Yeah.
Because
Pistal should be on there.
Yeah, those were the beginning.
But again,
there for Motown.
Pistal was a part player. He supported the music.
No,
So
absolutely.
did Uriel.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they don't stick in people's minds, other than the fact that they're on the Funk Brothers.
Well,
and
Well, and I was gonna
credit
say
for anything.
that's the thing. So if you guys don't know, you need to check out the documentary "Standing in the Shadows of Motown." I know we've talked about this on other
Excellent
episodes.
movie.
Yeah, it's really because we all know the songs. We know the Motown songs. Where everybody does. And but you don't know the band members behind it, and the fact that Motown Records wouldn't have been anything without the Funk Brothers, and it changed over time, because members died, guys left, things like that, and so they cycled through some members, but there was a critical core of musicians that really created the Motown sound. And then, led to...
And if you never heard Bootsy Collins do Motown music, that movie's going to blow you away.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, because they do in the
It was crazy, baby.
Yeah. Well, in the documentary, they talk about, the history of the Funk Brothers and whatnot, and a lot of them were still alive, at the time when they were making it. And I think Pistal died before it came out.
He had cancer.
Yeah, he had cancer.
But he was on it, so he did.
He was
able to.
Yeah. And then that was the thing. They had a concert, in it, like a tribute concert, and they all played, and that was really cool. But yeah, I think to a certain degree, some of the reason why a lot of people, in the documentary, when they were doing the documentary, were like, people need to know this story. They don't know this story. I think to a certain degree, they still don't really know the story.
No.
You know?
No, nobody knows.
But it happens,
The common people don't.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we went to a NAMM convention in Nashville. And, I don't know any of these drummers or guitar players like you guys do. And I just know I listen to the radio and I put it on and I hear this song and it makes me feel good or whatever. And we're driving down the street and here comes this regular looking guy just walking up the street. And you guys were both like, that's so-and-so. And I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
He's famous. Take a picture, and and it was happening.
Yeah.
See, it was happening the whole time we were there, and then this whole other aspect of music was opened up to me because I realized that these musicians that are on all these tracks that I love, they make the song.
Yes. Absolutely.
They're not all Prince who played like every instrument.
Right.
I mean, they relied on these drummers to lay down a beat, and they were so creative.
You can't do that conversation without talking about the bass players too.
No, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Jameson.
Oh yeah, James Jameson for real. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you give the credit to Elvis, like Elvis.
Yeah.
He did this. He was the king of rock and roll, but Elvis didn't play all the instruments either, and he had people supporting him that made the songs what they were.
Well, and like who was the guy that was the drummer for Michael Jackson for all those years?
Moffett.
Yeah.
Sugarfoot Moffett.
Yes,
Well, that's amazing.
These guys like that. I was watching a video of him playing. He was doing Billie Jean. You know?
Oh.
And just he's got the cymbals up here. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just like, it was so amazing. It was Smooth Criminal. That's what he was playing.
Yeah.
It was Smooth Criminal, and it was just it was so tight.
Yeah.
And like I didn't realize how syncopated the beat was. And
all those songs. Man.
Yeah, and it was incredible. But that's the thing is when you think of Smooth Criminal, you don't think, oh man, that's an awesome drummer.
No.
You're like you've been hit by. That's it.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson kind of dwarfed everybody.
Yeah, that's it. And you're thinking you're doing the movements and the. And all that. That's what you're thinking. And you're not thinking like, the drums are holding that whole thing. And like you said, in the bass said, and he was accenting that, he was putting that accent on the offbeat like that. And made it so cool and so infectious. And then, Michael could do his thing on top of it, you know. But that's, again, the person that's out in front is the one that's getting the spotlight.
And then sometimes the person in front has instructed the drummer or the bass player, because
James Brown.
James Brown, if he didn't like how something was going, he would switch drummers, or he would tell them, I want you to do more of this. He really orchestrated a lot of what he wanted, and that's why him and Clyde just gelled together. They thought the same about that
spirits.
stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Well, and so many times, and we know because we heard it from Clyde's own mouth. Like that's the funny thing about it is like I can tell this because I heard him tell me,
that's
that like thing. They would just be jamming, like warming up and stuff, and then James Brown would walk in and be like, yeah, do that again, do that, now you do this, and and then next thing you know, they got a hit, and now they're recording, and that would just play.
That's my understanding. I never was, and I'm going to mention him again. I never was a fan of Prince. I just didn't like Prince. I just thought he was creepy. There's a lot of, and
he's massively talented.
Now I'm realizing this. Like, oh my gosh, why didn't I know what an incredible musician he was? I mean, it's so funny to me because I had no idea.
His influence went into Michael Jackson and
like so many.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because I remember when he did the Super Bowl. I remember watching him do the Super Bowl, and he did Purple Rain, and he did a guitar solo in Purple Rain, and I remember at the time thinking, yeah, this sucks. Like this is really like, and I was like probably 10, and I just remember thinking like that was a pretty lame show, And then like I watch it back now, and I'm like, what the heck were you listening to? Like I don't know where my head was, because when I listen to it now and I watch it, and it was like
incredible.
It was awesome. Yeah.
And then I just didn't realize a lot. I guess there were things I didn't like about him personally, I guess. But you hear him sing, and he uses his voice like another instrument in the band. I mean, there's times
The song is When Doves Cry, and he makes a sound of crying doves musical.
It's pretty amazing. And he had quite a range, because he had the falsetto and full, so I don't know. I do respect him as a musician.
Anyway, they need to redo their
list.
Yes.
Their list.
What would be your top 10?
Maybe not, because it gave us something to talk about.
It did.
I wonder,
and we can't skip over the number one drummer there.
We just kind of said John Bonham, and then
huge influence in my life. When I started playing the drums, and somebody gave me some Zeppelin to listen to, which at that time, it was like FM stations only played that. It was like an underground thing.
Yeah.
And I heard him play, and I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! That is so powerful."
Yeah.
And then I wanted to emulate his bass drum work.
Oh yeah.
And that brought my playing up,
absolutely
substantially, trying to do what he's doing and succeeding at it. And he's you got I got to get back to the story where it was on. I guess it was on Quora, where a guy says, "Did John Bonham ever perform under the influence?" And this idiot, professional studio and touring drummer answers the question and says, "No, he never did that.
Yeah, no.
He was a consummate professional." I'm like, have you seen the movie? Song remains the same.
Right.
Like, he's about to fall into the drum set. Right. He's so stoned, And I saw him in concert twice.
Yeah.
It was just totally like, I don't know what people think, how you could rewrite history in here. Just because the guy was probably a teetotaler, and, of course, he did it just like me. We don't mess with that stuff.
Right.
Well, that ain't the truth,
the
man.
Symbols, they all have their symbols, right? His symbol with the circles like that was based off of one of his favorite beer company's logo. So, I mean, come on,
and apparently he was a good dad, too. I mean, things I've seen and heard about his raising his son. I used to think his son was a fluke. He just got his dad's name and was going to capitalize on that. But no, man, he there's pictures of him all through his whole life teaching him how to play the drums.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And wow, what an awesome thing to be taught how to play the drums by the greatest drummer in the world at that time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cool.
Shall we take a break?
I suppose we could. Yeah, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Ron Kay's music instruction has been trusted by thousands in Pensacola to learn, play, and love music. Our strong passion for teaching music provides expert knowledge and guidance which helps you succeed and have fun with your music lessons. Whether it's a bucket list dream or a desire to enhance your child's life, our music lessons are the answer. Call 850-453-9966 now. Realize your musical dreams. Visit musiclessonspensacola.com today.
All right, and we're back.
We're back.
All right, let's light the fuse on this second, Bob.
We're going again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
This is the part where you really get that little bit of satisfaction about being a Browns fan that you were denied all these years.
Yes. Well, in case you don't know and haven't talked to us recently, the Browns are in the playoffs, and we're very excited. So, that's what I've been telling everyone. People are like, "So, Miss Kay, how are you doing?" I'm like, "Hi, the Browns are in the playoffs."
Yes.
And
that's how you introduce yourself.
It is. We go back to school, and the principal says, "Anybody have good things?" And I'm like,
"Browns are in the playoffs."
I'm raising my hand, and she's like looking. Anybody else have any good things? Because we know the Browns are in the playoffs. No, she didn't do that, but
that's it. It's amazing. I know. That's why, I don't want to. People are wanting to talk about next year. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
No, we need to enjoy the moment.
This is fun.
It's fun.
This is crazy.
Yes.
Who would have ever thought that I'd be so psyched that Joe Flacco's on our team?
Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Joe Flacco that we used to hate.
Yes.
Yes.
I had many names for Joe Flacco.
Some you can't say.
Can't say. Yes. No.
Well, the main reason we didn't like Joe Flacco was because he was on the Ravens, and
Yes.
he took the Ravens past
To the Super
us
Bowl.
to the
Beat
Super
the crap
Bowl.
out of us when they
Yes,
played
and
us.
so and then but when he was on the Jets, the beginning of the year or whatever, was it last year or this year? See, it's all a blur.
Last year.
We were rooting for him on the Jets because
No,
he
we weren't
seemed-
because he beat the Browns in that one game. Remember?
Well, no, we were
we were
Yeah.
rooting for him. I
It's
remember
like it's
thinking,
good to see him still kicking
to
around.
see him. Yeah,
but
it
it was
was-
another reason why I didn't like them because it was like you needed to retire like 5 years ago and you're playing backup on this team and you still come here and beat the Browns.
Okay,
Like
now, let's
you know.
talk about the factor of coming off the couch.
yeah, that
Being on the
everybody's
couch
talking
for,
about.
what, 3 months or something?
Yeah, something. I think that's what it was. But he said like he kept working out. He was like
Yes.
throwing with his brother or something
Well, okay,
like that.
so
And it's like,
he didn't need 3 years to shake the rust off.
apparently not.
All
Oh, yeah,
those
thank you.
announcers
Yeah.
need to just
Yeah.
apologize for being full of crap.
They're not going
because
to do
Well,
that.
then
Deshaun Watson, he's shaking the rust off, man. Just
Yeah,
you know,
it's rust.
he's a little bit
Just
rusty. He
rust.
hasn't played in a year or whatever, and you know.
So we're very, but you
Sick.
know, yes, we agree with you. I think it's kind of crazy. That's the whole thing is like I said to somebody this week, I said, you know, can you believe it? The Browns are going to the playoffs. And he says, yeah. And without Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
No, like,
And I was like, oh my
whoa,
gosh.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
How is this possible?
Yeah,
Yes,
that was the inference. With,
Well,
you
because
know,
because the whole the hype train was that he brought the Texans through all that 1 year and
One
had that
year.
amazing
One
One
It's like,
year.
It was the best year of his career.
It was,
And
yeah.
it was probably a fluke.
And then he got injured, and that's why I again I don't even.
But
wanna
that was
think
the whole,
about-
let's spend, $235 million on this guy because he played good for 1 year.
Yes,
I
well,
know. Well, yes, it's very.
here we are.
Here we are. We're going to the playoffs. Without, but and then
I
Nick
promised
Chubb,
I wasn't going to diss Stefanski
don't do it.
too much. So
Chubb, who's like the number one running back.
Chubb was the
injured.
offense. Let's just be real here.
He was.
Chubb was the offense.
And then he got injured.
And he gets injured.
What, second game, third
that
game?
was the worst night of the entire year for me.
Yes.
That was just like
We
it was
saw
so
everything
devastating.
just went
Oh.
poof, and
Yeah.
then it was like the next week when Deshaun got hurt.
Yeah, that
And
was
then-
it. I was like, we're done.
and
I'm like,
then,
I don't even want to watch them play
Our
anymore.
center
Yeah.
went down.
Yeah,
yeah.
Wasn't it Posick?
Posick.
He
yeah,
went out.
He got injured.
And then
And
the
then-
tackles.
Yeah.
Conklin went out.
Conklin,
Yeah.
And Jared Wells went out.
Wills,
Wills.
Jedrick Wills.
Jedrick. Well,
I wasn't all that
we're not
upset
gonna
about
cry.
that.
But still,
Sorry, Jedrick.
that's like the whole offensive line now.
Well,
is gone.
I was excited because I liked that DeJuan Jones and they drafted
Yes.
him this
Oh,
year.
he was good.
And he was a monster. He's like blocking two guys with both hands
Yes,
and stuff,
he
you know.
did
And then he
incredible.
when he got injured, I was
Yeah.
like, oh man.
No,
Like,
it was really a lot of injuries, and it wasn't really. Yes, it was the Browns, but we were talking this week that a lot of teams have had a lot of
Oh
injuries.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we wondered, like, why
What's
does it
going
seem
on?
like it's more than ever?
Yeah.
And unless I wondered if the NFL is being a little stricter on even letting them play with
when the
injuries
guy's
and
knee
stuff.
goes the opposite
Oh, yeah, oh,
direction,
yeah,
it
there's
was
no
just- it was
discussion
horrible.
about.
Yeah, no.
That was really horrible.
And the concussion thing, yeah, they're definitely being a lot more
Mm-hmm.
cautious with that, which
They
is
should
good.
be.
You know, absolutely. But these were not just concussion stuff that were laying these guys out.
No,
I
it
mean,
was knee stuff
Yeah.
and shoulder stuff
Yeah.
and broken hands and I mean
Yeah.
it's just So anyway, we're very excited. So we're
Yeah.
playing Houston Sunday. So I've been telling the boys that we might need to
Saturday.
We
Yeah.
might need to do a little addendum to the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Josh,
update.
a follow up.
Josh is calling it espresso with the case.
There you go. Yes, yes.
So
Or
that we-
shots with the case, just
There
depending
we
on how the
go.
game goes.
There you go. That would be it.
That's it.
So
Well, you don't
update
want the
you.
dream to ever end.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You just don't know.
Well, and I feel confident with the defense like that. I was just looking at the stats. I mean, the defense is first in scoring drives allowed, first in points given up. The fewest amount of points given up,
Yeah.
fewest amount of yards given up.
Sacks.
Sacks. I mean, they check the box in all these different stats, and it does make me think of the '85 Bears and the Eagles that year. They had Nick Foles as their quarterback. He was the backup, and they had an awesome defense, and that's what got them to the Super Bowl. And
they say defense wins games.
That's it. Yeah,
it's kind of a thing. And so, and then you can't talk about the playoffs without mentioning that Baker Mayfield has taken the Bucs to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy for Baker.
We are happy for Baker.
Yeah,
he got screwed by Cleveland, and there's no denying that.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to see him stick it in their face.
Well, and then he got hired on by Carolina, and they beat Carolina in order to go to the playoffs. So that was kind of an added little thing.
Stefanski did that thing. He's not a team player. He can't get along with nobody.
He didn't do that.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't. That was inferences that people. He never said that. He said now the
on camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a
good point.
Now what happened was
you on the side.
What happened for sure was he was injured and he shouldn't have been out there playing, and he was making them play and making them throw.
Why.
Yes, he should not have been playing.
Because he didn't want, in my opinion, he didn't want him anymore.
Right.
And he wanted to show everybody he's not good. I need a new quarterback. And I think that's what happened.
You don't need to bury the guy to get that point across. They did the same thing to OBJ, man. They destroyed his character and his dad and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like
it was wrong.
Playground bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's Baker, that was a terrible game, that game, and he threw 5 interceptions, and after the third interception they should have put him on the bench. I don't understand why let's keep having.
Well, they didn't do that to Flacco.
No, they didn't do that to Flacco.
He throws 3 interceptions. They're like, okay, he'll get 3 more touchdowns.
Yeah, well, again, to be fair, exactly. So they're treating Flacco the same way they were treating Baker Mayfield,
no, except he's not the same.
It's not the same. Flacco's better player.
Yes,
it's the bottom line. Even in that game against Carolina, I'm happy for Baker and I want him to do well, but he is not an elite quarterback.
No, he's not.
And you watch him play against Carolina, they almost didn't win that game.
They almost didn't win.
So,
and it's not just Baker, because the running backs, it was definitely a team effort.
Again, so you can't, I think that the way that it's working right now is, Flacco is an elite quarterback and they're playing to his strengths and it's working. And I think they were trying to do that with Baker, and Baker is not an elite quarterback, but then Stefanski's mistake is you recognize that and then you got to change, which he didn't do.
No, this year I think he has
made a lot of changes this year,
because there were a lot of times.
I mean, Coach of the Year, I think not. I definitely think that's just hype and bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Because he made some serious personal. He made that thing between him and Baker personal. He made that thing between him and OBJ personal. Mm-hmm. And then he gets Deshaun and he's just shaking off the rust.
Right, right.
We're losing every game, but he'll come around. He'll give.
We won one.
Did you see that one play he did?
Yeah.
And
we were trying to get. We wanted to believe in Deshaun. We really did. When the season started, I think all 3 of us were like, okay, we don't like this. He's getting way too much money. There's way too much hype.
When we came around to the idea that was
he's our guy.
You can't do anything about it. They paid him all the money. Right. He's stuck. We're stuck. It's the way that is. And then that was the thing.
And then DPJ played, and he had a good game. DTR. DW.
PP and J.
Too many initials.
Too many
initials on the team. All these guys with 3 names.
I know. I like PJ Texas Walker Ranger.
Oh yeah. PJ Walker. Walker Texas Ranger. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that's it. But it's been a tumultuous last couple of years.
Yes, but it is a little bit. It's a little bit weird thinking about. I did my bracket for the Pigskin Pick'ems.
I gotta do that.
I gotta do mine too.
It's the bracket for the playoff bracket.
Yeah.
And when you do the bracket, I think it's going to come down to us and the Ravens.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think
a lot of people do.
I don't think we're going to beat the Ravens. And if we go to the Super Bowl, I mean, I don't think.
Well,
I don't know.
If everybody's healthy.
That's the thing. I mean, we did it before. Shoot, that one year we did it with Baker. So
Yes, but it's just when you look at the lineup and like you pick, okay, we win, we beat Houston, and then if you pick who you think's going to win the next one, and you go all the way down, it's like it could really happen. It could really happen. And I mean, some people are really thinking like the Cowboys are going to go all the way. Everybody thinks like their team's going to go all the way.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the Eagles are going to go all the way.
No.
I don't think.
Honestly, I don't think the Dolphins, because they can't seem to beat in important games.
Yes.
You know, they can't seem to rise up, and I'm
not
just
consistent.
Well, and they've had the injury problems also, and that's been part of the problem too.
Yeah.
So they don't have as much depth actually, apparently, like we have.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and
fantasy football is over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dad beat me.
Nah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but in our league, none of us won.
Yes. Who did it come down to? It was Chris and Chafee, right?
Chafee came in third.
Okay.
So I'd have to look at our list. We'll have to do it next time. We'll do fantasy.
Yeah, there you go.
But Chris Smith, I think, won.
Yeah.
I think he was first, and then I think Ryan is second.
That's what it was.
Ryan. And then Chafee didn't even know. So I work with Emily.
That's
and
funny.
I saw her, and I said, Emily,
from the draft
you came in third, and she was like, really?
Oh,
am I supposed to do something with this?
Yeah, that's it. I know.
I don't know.
So funny.
Oh, that's
I don't know. I drafted this guy. I don't know if he's any good. You know, there's Tyreek Hill. I know.
Yes, and she did. She had Tyreek. So when I told her she got third, she said, well, really, I couldn't have done it without my brother. She said her brother
was helping her.
We thought it was her husband, but it was her brother pulling the strings on the sideline.
And somebody was doing it.
They're from near Philadelphia. They're from Lancaster County.
Oh, so they're Eagles fans?
Yes, they're Eagles fans. They're not Amish.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that.
What happened to Mahomes?
He lost his mind.
No, I think this is what I think. This is what I think. Okay, I think that this happens. You can look at other quarterbacks. You know, Peyton Manning didn't win a Super Bowl every single year he played. Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl every single year they played, and he had years that he went up and years he went down. And
they didn't have meltdowns.
Yeah. No. I don't
that
think,
one game he came.
Yeah, he. I think that that game was a bad look for him. But I don't think it would be fair to say he's losing his mind because he had one.
I could mark from that game till today and tell you that was the downfall of the Chiefs.
Well, so the chemistry, I think, in the locker room is the problem right now. And I think there's a lot of things that were done that they didn't like, that the team has not really gotten over. Like, for example, getting rid of Tyreek Hill.
Yes, right? That was a big one.
That was a big one. And they all like Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
They were all friends, and he was amazing.
Yes.
And he still is. And he was a galvanizing force in there. And when they got rid of him, I think that was a problem. And then it was like, okay, well, who's going to step up to be the next Tyreek Hill?
But see, if you're thinking, I'm the reason the team wins.
That is true.
And then all of a sudden, you're not winning no more.
That's true.
That's what happened. That's how you see that meltdown.
Yeah.
And, Kelsey throwing his helmet and all that stuff. And I heard somebody say he threw his helmet because Mahomes wasn't throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and they did actually show that in the one game. There were several times that Kelsey was open.
Yeah. And
one time he was in the end zone.
And is it a mystery, though? Because we all know that, right? Yeah. Who can you count on to always be open?
Kelsey.
That's it.
He gets open.
Even
when they double team him, he gets open.
And so it would almost seem to make you think that Mahomes is either second guessing himself or he's trying to find that new Tyreek Hill, right? Like he's trying to force feed it to Rashid Rice. Yeah. Or he's trying to.
And Rashid Rice, he had some good games.
Oh yeah,
he did well.
But if you're trying to force it, that was the problem that year that we had Baker and OBJ was wide open and they weren't throwing to him because they were trying to make DTR or DPJ the Golden Boy and all that.
Too many initials.
I know it's too many.
Yes.
But that's the thing. So like, if you put all your focus on, I gotta get to these guys, then you're missing the obvious play. And then, I think Kelsey, they're not. When everybody's winning, everybody's happy, right?
Yes.
And when you're not winning, now you're gonna start blaming people, and that's when the locker room starts to collapse.
Yeah.
And we've seen that every single year as a Browns fan. Start out real tight, and then everybody's arguing with each other. Last year, the reporters that after that one game said that like they could hear them screaming outside the locker room and stuff, and that's how you knew, oh yeah, we're done the rest of the year, because the
morale was gone.
The morale was gone. So I think that's
because they started
the problem.
that not this year, but the year before with the whole building the Browns.
Yeah,
and it was all this, like all the touchy-feely.
Oh yeah, and they were doing all the
activities
together and
and
getting Rolexes.
I know, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I will say, not to make this all about the Browns, but there were some people that said that they felt like that going to the Greenbrier this year, where they all just left as a team and got away from.
They went on their retreat.
That was their retreat, because there was nothing to do in the Greenbrier. They had to do stuff together. And they felt like that really was a team building experience, because they were practicing together, but then after they were done, it wasn't like they could just go home. They all had to do something
stuff
together, and then that helped them all get to know each other and kind of, because right now they're saying that the chemistry in the locker room is the best that it's ever been.
Well, and it's really fun when you what's his name does his little thing. Greg Newsome. Goes around and he like asks questions.
He's a character.
And it is hysterical.
News with Newsome,
and it is really cute. He's like, so if you could sing karaoke, what would you sing? And then he's like giving he's got this little tiny like lapel mic.
It's connected to the iPhone.
It is so cute.
Funny.
And it's really enjoyable to watch that. So if you see those clips, they're very fun.
You see how they interact with him.
You see how they interact. Yes, it's very fun.
So let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Dissing our players.
Oh man, we feel bad for MJ.
But they dissed. We got 4 guys in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah. And then there was like 6 alternates, so they didn't technically get in, but they could still if other guys pull out or don't.
So what happens? Here's my question, because the Pro Bowl is before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So what if we go to the Super Bowl? Then they're not going to play in the Pro Bowl.
I don't think the Super Bowl players participate in the. I don't know. I have to look that
that's
up.
a question for another time.
They used to do the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, and then they changed that a few years back. But the Pro Bowl now is not, because players don't want to get hurt. So
I think they do it on that
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
With the gag on his mouth, and he's...
What was that?
Oh, Miles
Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody knows he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best, bar none.
Absolutely.
There's no one even close
Well, that's
to him.
why he was complaining about the holding, because, they're like, that's the only way you can guard him, is you have to hold him.
Yeah.
It's the only way you
and
can
the refs are like, okay, we're cool with that.
That's how it is. Yeah. You're too good. That's just how it goes. Yeah. But we'll see what happens with that, because I think we find out all of that. That's like the week before the Super Bowl, right? They do all the awards.
I think so.
Yeah. So that'd be
if
good.
there was ever a guy that deserved Defensive Player of the Year, it's Myles Garrett.
Absolutely.
He's amazing.
Yeah. He made it to the Pro Bowl, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He was a Pro Bowl selection. So that was, at least he got that, recognition. That was good. I remember his first game, very first play that he ever took, very first snap, he had a sack.
Oh, okay.
And I remember when that happened, and I remember thinking, how about that? You're a rookie, and your very first play you get a sack. That is amazing. And then look at what he's done now.
Well, when you watch the defensive ends now, they all copy his
style.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they're all getting low and twisting, and
they study him. They study him.
They do. Because he gets so low and he contorts and all that stuff to get around and whatnot. And he does the swim move and all that. Yeah, and they are. They're starting to do it now.
That's
Yeah.
He's writing the book, baby.
Yeah, it's
changing the position.
What's the saying about
imitation is the highest form of flattery?
There you go.
That's the one. There you go.
That's it.
That's cool.
Well, boys.
Awesome. All right. Well.
Go Browns.
Good. Go Browns. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. So this has been another fine episode of Coffee with the Case. All right. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe so you can never miss an episode. Like and comment on the video what you'd like to hear us discuss next. Maybe you have your top 10 list of your own you want us to go over. It's always a fun discussion, so that would be good. So be sure to check us out on our website, musiclessonspensacola.com. And the music at the intro and outro is provided by Ron K. and his album K-Struction. You can check that out everywhere that you get your music. And thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode of Coffee with the Case.